Thank you so much, Jessica Willis with Pocketnest. We were very fortunate to be able to meet Jessica through a very special program that we were both part of. We both This Way and Pocketnest have been Google accelerated startups, and very fortunate that I was able to meet you. And you so enlightened me on something that I think as employers we've all forgotten about. I think it's something that companies used to know 50 years ago, and somehow we lost it. And this to me is so important because if you are a culture focused employer and you care about the people that work for you, then what you do for companies, people need to know about. I think it is an excellent way to attract and to retain employees. And there's never been a harder time to find great candidates. So I'm so excited to have you on here. I would love if you would tell everyone a little bit about your background, how Pocketnest got started, and why lunches became a really big kickoff for you to start your company.
Thank you so much, Angela. Yes, I'm so happy to be here. So my name is Jessica Willis. I am the founder and CEO of Pocketnest. At Pocketnest, we do comprehensive financial wellness. And we do that not by being a direct-to-consumer platform. We license our software to institutions. So that is financial institutions as well as employers. So we have a secondary product that we've been talking a lot about lately because as you pointed out, Angela, it's been really hard these last really few months, maybe even a couple years to retain really great talent. And so our tool provides employee financial wellness to the employees at our employer customers.
So as a mother of two adults, I always tell them it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And to me, that's where financial wellness comes in, is that it's fine that, you can have whatever amount of salary, but if you end up spending it all and you don't really know how to manage your money appropriately, then that really doesn't help you.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that if employers could understand how to help their employees. And if they really understood the pain that the employees are under or the stress that they're under about finances right now. COVID has changed things in ways that I don't think that we can fully understand. It'll probably be another decade before we'll see that. But one of the things that we know anecdotally, because we have so many jobs that come through our platform and so many applicants and candidates that get matched to those employers, we see a lot of data and we see a lot of conversations. And we are learning that a lot of families are living together. There's like grandparents moving in with their grandchildren, and we'll see 2 or 3 different generations living in the same house. They figured out a different way to finance their families. I would love to know what you have seen, like what insights do you have that you've seen over the last year or two from either the employer's perspective or from the candidate's perspective, the employee perspective?
Yeah, the financial stress is huge. And it's interesting, COVID hit, and I think we all started to feel worry and concern about everything. And personal finance was definitely one of those. One of the things that we've seen, not only through Pocketnest, but even prior throughout my career, what I was very interested in is that when we talk about personal finance, Angela, it means something different to everyone. So this is something you and I haven't had the chance to discuss yet, but when you mention personal finance and what you're teaching to your 2 adult children, you're absolutely right. When I think of personal finance, I think of something else. And I think when some people think personal finance, they think I have my 401k, I'm all set, or I have a budget and so I'm all set, or I make sure I balance a checking book every month and so I'm all set. The point is, like, from Pocketnest perspective, what we think is personal finance is so much more. And what we've learned, to answer your question, is that when people think about personal finance, they're thinking of not only budget, as you sort of allude to, but also things like, saving for kids' college, or paying down debt, or paying down both the good and the bad debt, or what do I need for insurance? People think about their estate plan. Do I need an estate plan? People think about income tax planning. There's from our perspective, 10 themes of financial planning. And And we're trying to address all of them from this really comprehensive financial planning world, because with the research we've done is that it means something different to everybody. People have a lot of different worries as it relates to, quote, personal finance.
So maybe expand a little bit more specifically about what you mean by good debt and bad debt, because I hear a lot of conversation that people just use the word debt.
Yeah.
And they don't really clarify those 2 points. And I think it's really meaningful. I mean, I think also too, I would love it if you would give us your background, because when I heard your background, I was like, this is why she is an absolutely queen of the space.
So I have, I hate to give my age, but you guys can try to calculate it. I have 20 years of experience. I think it's actually 22 now. 22 years of experience in personal financial planning. I'm a certified financial planner and a certified private wealth advisor. And my whole career up until starting this company, Pocketnest, has been serving the ultra high net worth, those really, really wealthy people, because that is the way our industry is. You need a lot of money to get good independent advice. And I started this company because my friends who maybe didn't hit that $1 million and above in assets came to me constantly asking me to take them through that same process I was doing for my clients along the way. And that's where I started to hear these same questions over and over of, it's not just budget. It's not just retirement. It's all these other pieces. And so, that's why I started this company. That's how we think about personal finance. And then your question on bad debt and good debt.
Right.
So, the quick answer is bad debt is kind of that high interest credit card debt that, if it's 9, 10, 11, 12% that you're paying in interest, that is bad debt. Nobody should have that. And unfortunately, I think we live in a society or a world or maybe a nation that doesn't shun that as much as it should. And maybe shun is the wrong word. Maybe we don't educate enough around that. To me, good debt is, some student debt to get a great college education. One might have to get student debt, a mortgage, right? To buy a home. I think very few people can buy a home without some sort of mortgage debt. And so we think of that as good debt. And the reason we bring up good versus bad debt is not to, it's not to create any shame around it. It's really to help people come up with a plan and to understand when you need to address and in what order you need to address debt. So we want people to pay off the bad debt before necessarily the good debt.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I think it's just a matter of, I think looking at the entire picture is what you're saying, that people seem to be really focused on certain things and not really looking at, it's okay to have that debt because that's your house and it's appreciating. Maybe the debt on the car, not so great because it's not an appreciating asset. I think that makes total sense, but I don't hear people talking about it in that terms. Yeah. So when you're thinking about, when you're talking to your customers and your customers, if I understand it, I think we share a very similar customer profile. So one further this way is the companies really care about the people that work for them. And they're very culture centric. And from our conversations, I think that that's in alignment with what your customer is too, right?
Absolutely. We find our best customers, and when I say best, I mean the ones that are most engaged with us, the ones that part of our platform, we have an app-based platform, but we also do webinars. And so, when we get really high engagement on those webinars or even on the platform, it comes from these customers. And those kind of best customers are the ones who get, from the very, very high up, there is there's just an encouragement and promotion around, people's wellness and culture and well-being and, real people first cultures.
And then I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, but so our company has smaller businesses, startups, I think maybe the smallest one we have is probably 20, 25 employees. And then and those are all different types of companies, all types of industries. And then we have Fortune 50 companies. And I think you do too, right?
Yes.
We're like in this huge range.
Yes.
It's a very interesting kind of dynamic because if you're listening and you're not a startup, I'm going to just tell you how this works. Most times, they want you, and by say they, the venture capitalist or your advisors or whatever, they want you to pick a sector and an industry and a size. They want you to get it really narrow, and that makes total sense until you do something like what we do, which really your ideal profile of a person that really cares about your business happens to be all over the map as far as sizes. And you have the same thing, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And we started our company serving these financial institutions. That was that's really our core product until this employee wellness piece sort of fell in our laps. And what we found is we do really, really well at that. And we love that because it gets us really close to those end users. And to your point, Angela, we found out we could be completely industry and size agnostic. It's like, supporting what's most important for us is supporting a company that cares about their employees. Those seem to be, really good fits for us.
So just, as we kind of wrap up today's podcast, I'm so happy you joined. It's just, to me, I find this fascinating, and it's something that I overlooked when I think of like, what can an employer do to attract and retain? So attracting a qualified applicant to a job right now is incredibly difficult for companies. So first thing I would say, please tell us what we should be adding in the job description. Like, what should we be saying?
Yes.
And what should we be doing on, to attract them? And then if you have a tip on how can we use this financial wellness piece to retain them? I think every employer needs to know this. And I think we're all have been overlooking this aspect of our value proposition to the people that we want to come join us.
Yeah. So offer employee financial wellness. So it is something that is getting really hot right now in HR groups all around are talking about. Employees are asking their employers for help on financial wellness. So find an employee financial wellness tool. Certainly check out Pocketnest. And I think in things like job descriptions and to your question of what to do, care. Promote that wellness, promote that you do care about your employees and your culture, right within those descriptions, because it is important. The more help that employers can give their employees around wellness and financial wellness in general, not only does it help retain, your great talent and attract great talent, but it does hit your bottom line as well. There's all sorts of studies out there that financial wellness for your employees promotes, wellness is the wrong word, but promotes goodness to your bottom line, because employees feel less stress. They have less healthcare costs. With that less stress, it is impacting your bottom line too. So lots of good reasons.
Reducing stress, increasing engagement.
Yes, great.
That is a win-win. So if people are interested in talking to you, so first, you sell only to businesses, right? So an individual cannot say, I love what you're talking about. Really what they need to do is go to work for a company that's one of your customers.
Yes, correct. Right. Or tell your employer about us.
Right, exactly. I think that would be excellent. I honestly feel like that at least most of the employers we work with would welcome that. They would say, thank you for telling me something very specific that you want me to look into, as opposed to just saying, make it better. What does that mean? It's harder. So how does someone reach out to your company? And is there anything that you would like to kind of leave them with, maybe like a specific call to action or a challenge that you would like to call them to be thinking about?
Yeah, I think specific challenge, just think about wellness. Think about what wellness means to you and what you want it to mean to your employees, and maybe even the alumni of your employee base. And consider looking for a financial wellness tool. Again, check out ours. So our website, we're Pocketnest. You can find us easily by Googling, but pocketnest.com is our website. You can reach us at hello@pocketnest.com. And the call to action on learning more about us is to request a demo. There's plenty of ways on our website to get in touch with us and request a demo, and we'd be happy to show you more about what we're doing.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to personally learning more. Thank you so much. This has been Jessica Willis with Pocketnest, and I look forward to talking to you sometime soon.
Thank you, Angela. Bye-bye.
Bye.